Good evening and welcome to Will's webinars. I am extremely excited this evening because I've got a good friend of mine, Mr. Jean-Pierre De Villiers, in the house. Whoop, 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 whoop. I say,
whoop, whoop, whoop. Thanks for having me, dude.
I say he's in the house. He's not in the house. He's not even in the building. He's not in the room. He's not even in the country. He's not even in the country, this man right now. He is on the other side of the water, so to speak, but not West Coast. We're talking sort of almost southeast. So JP, where are you right now? Where in the world are you?
I am in Maribel, France, and I'm here for 8 days of skiing. I'm in a beautiful chalet with a lot of business and investor people, high flyers, and we're just drinking. That's my only one for today. We're drinking, skiing, and connecting and networking. Very important to connect with people and if you can do it in an experiential way through skiing or something like that, it's very powerful. And that's why I'm here as well. So this is an experience and I'm connecting with you. Love you, mate. Love what you're doing in the world. And like I said to you before we went live, it's always good to hang out with you. So
thank you.
Good to be here.
Thank you. So for those of you that haven't joined us on a Will's webinar before, there's only one rule that we have generally, and I say one rule, we have a few rules. One of the rules is we want to make sure we get loads of value out of today, but the other thing is to make this as great an experience as possible. Is I want to make this interactive. This isn't just about me. This isn't just about JP. This is about you being able to take value from this evening. And one of the ways that we do that is via having you guys interact, right? This isn't just a two-way conversation. This is a however many people join us on the webinar conversation plus JP and I. So I'm just going to show you, hopefully, a screen should change. Yeah. So if you haven't joined already, we have a group called the Elite Network Community, which is a free Facebook group that you can join. In that Facebook group, there is the official webinar thread, which you'll see, which hopefully should be showing on your screen right now. And that is the link to go to post any of your questions. So if you're watching that right now, if you can help me help you to make sure you get the most out of this experience, and just go to that, if you go to that webinar thread on Facebook quickly, in our Facebook group. If you're not in the group, I've sent the link to the group in the chat that I've just sent now. Don't use the chat on Demio and the platform you're watching this on, because when we go, you lose all of the questions. Whereas this way, we keep all of the questions. We can answer questions after the webinar for people that are watching it on repeat and all that good stuff. So yes, that's the only really rule. If you do have any questions, and if you are online now and you can hear us perfectly, please just let me know. I'll be monitoring this the whole way through the webinar, so we know that you're there. We know that you can hear us loud and clear, and all is good, because it would be an absolute travesty for JP and I to have a really great conversation and none of you actually benefit from hearing it. So yeah, let's get rocking and rolling.
Could have done that on WhatsApp.
Say again, sorry?
I said we could have done that on WhatsApp.
Exactly, exactly. So yeah, people can hear us, so that's a good start. So JP, I had the pleasure of first finding out about you a couple of years ago, and then since then we got introduced, and obviously we've met on multiple occasions since. And for those people that don't know you, I mean, you're a pretty special individual. These days, I mean, you operate as a peak performance coach. You work with CEOs, Olympic athletes, actors, TV directors, film directors, some sort of the who's who of people ultimately that want coaching. You've done this for sort of 20 years or so. Why operate and do what you do?
Yeah, well, first of all, I work with anyone. I work with anyone that's willing to own up to the fact that they're responsible for everything in their life, and that everything that isn't in their life, whether it's money, health, positivity, relationships. And I have worked in, from almost 20 years ago when I started out in personal development and even fitness as a personal trainer. I've worked with all sorts of people, but they all have a common denominator, that they're frustrated regardless of where they are. They're frustrated because they know they can play a much bigger game. And then they come to me because they know I give them radical honesty. I don't give fluff. Sometimes I give truth in a way that it pokes you, but I do it for a reason. I do it with very good intention, and allow people to tap into their full potential and ultimately, hopefully, reach some sort of full potential experience of living. Why do I do it? Here's the reason why I'm called. I know you called me a peak performance coach. I actually call myself a high performance coach, and I'm actually transforming into more of a high impact coach, because performance is very go related, right? It's like, oh, let's perform. Everyone knows me as the energy guy, the fitness guy. But really, what I want to do, my intention for working with everyone that I work with, whether on a one-to-one, a one-to-few, or a one-to-many environment, my goal is always to make an impact in people's lives so they can go out and do something inspirational with their own life. And for me to be able to do that, I have to be a person of inspiration. I have to push the boundaries. I have to be willing to get uncomfortable. I have to chase the highest of the highs. And the reason why I'm a high performance, high impact coach, doing all these high impact things in my life, from Ironman to fighting to ultra marathons to writing books to skiing, jumping out of planes, running events all around the world, is because I'm obsessed about it, Will. And the reason why I'm obsessed about the highest of the highs and having it all to myself is because when I grew up, I had the lowest of the lows. So I went from, you're a big fan of John DeMartini. He's spoken at your own event. I think you've even had him on a webinar. And John DeMartini always talks about the power of our hierarchy of values. And one of the examples he gives of values is whatever is a void when we grow up, we'll do everything to avoid. So I had low self-esteem, low confidence, low wealth, low security, low safety, everything low. And as a result of that, I became the lowest version of myself. And the pinnacle of that point, or the pivotal moments in my life, was when I was 23 and I hit the low of the low of the low of the low of the low. And I just realized that I was getting life wrong. And that I knew that if I got life wrong on my own as an adult, as 23 years old, I realized that I could figure out how to get life right. I just had to take responsibility for where I was and go to work. And I started to go to work. And I'll be honest with you, Will, I didn't do it for anyone else. I did it just for me. So I was at a point where I asked my friend, can you refer me or tell me where to get a psychologist? Because I was like, I'm depressed. And I was 23 years old. And the only thing consuming my mind was, I don't know what I'm doing with my life. I'm consuming everything from popularity to girls to drugs to alcohol, nicotine, being a rock star. And I was contributing nothing to the world. And it also reminded me, in my lowest of lows, that at 23 years old, 10 years prior to that, at 13 years old, I lost my father to suicide, because my father too, bless his soul, he just got life wrong. There's certain things in his life and certain things in my life that were too damn similar. So I went to work and I took full responsibility for where I was. And now funny that 15 years, 16 years later, even longer than that, I started teaching people how to take responsibility for their life. And that's when I started writing my book, How to Own Your Life, which is being released. That was a nice little subtle plug, not so subtle, on a Friday, the 25th of March. But I did it for me. And after about 15 months, people started saying, man, Jay, what happened to you? You got a job back in fitness. You're not DJing anymore and living this London hedonistic lifestyle. You're super positive. And I was like, man, this is really powerful. And then I got offered a really good job.
Sorry,
you go.
You said, did they call you Magic?
What?
Did you say Magic? What happened to you? Did you have a nickname, Magic?
No.
Oh, right. I maybe misheard you. I thought there might have been a story there as well, but I thought I heard you.
I don't know where that came in, but I like that new nickname. I like Magic, yeah. Because honestly, I feel like where I am today, and obviously I know you shared in the beginning, but I feel like my life is magic. And if we get enough time, I can share how I've created magic moments and how I continue to manifest more magic moments in my life. It was all me getting out of my own way. It was all me taking responsibility responsibility, going to work, and being willing to be fully seen for who I am and be fully seen online for who I know I'm capable of becoming, and failing forward every day in every way. I don't care. I don't care about failing. I don't care. I was falling on the slopes today, learning how to ski. And every time I fell, I was like, yes, thank you, universe. Thank you, me. Because I'd rather be falling on the slope than be sitting in a chalet saying, you know what? I really want to ski, but I don't for this reason or that reason. So going back to 23, now I'm 24, 25, and I realized this is very powerful. Maybe if my father knew what I knew about personal development, about values, about living according to your highest values and what makes you happy and fulfilled, about the importance of having a role model, a mentor, or a coach, and about how to take tools in personal development and use them to fix things in your life. I thought, you know what? I want to do this for other people. So the only thing I ever knew growing up consistently was fitness. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to use fitness to help people change their life. And I became a personal trainer. But then I realized I didn't enjoy being in the gym. So I thought, what am I actually changing about people, or what am I changing for them as a result of the vehicle of fitness? And I was changing their psychology. So I went into coaching, and then I wrote some books. I started speaking, and now I've written, this is my 4th book. I've spoken all over the world. I've been to 4 different countries in the last 4 weeks. I'm truly blessed, too blessed to be stressed. I love my life. It's magic. I get to hang out with magic people, and it's just amazing, man. I'm very blessed. And I'm here in a beautiful chalet in Maribel, France. I've got amazing people, leaders, business leaders, entrepreneurial leaders sitting upstairs waiting for me at dinner. And I said, I can't be here. I've got to do this interview, but I'll see you afterwards. Tomorrow we're going skiing. And this is work. It's crazy. Today I did a 3-4-5. I did 3 hours of winning my morning, just me on my own, no disruptions. I did 4 hours of skiing. And then I did 5 hours of contributing and serving my clients. And now you're the 6th hour, and I'm blessed to be here with you.
Love it. And I think the key thing to take away from this, and certainly the thing that always inspires me in these situations, is you've created everything that you've just mentioned. You created that. You've done that. You've owned your own life, and you, like you said, you took yourself from where you were when you were 23 years old to being where you are now. So for those people that want to own their own life, and they aspire to maybe not do the same things in terms of the context that you're talking about, but they want to get to their next level, their level. What's that first step? If they want to, what's the first step in owning your own life and moving to that or starting that journey? Where do they go first? What do they need to do?
Okay. So I've already mentioned it, and I could give you another one, but just not because of a lack of content, I'm going to mention it again. But before I do that, the short answer to my last question was, why do I do it? Because personal development changed my life. And chasing the highest of the highs, first through drugs and alcohol, and then doing it in a healthy way, I realized that literally, if you're willing to do the work and take responsibility, everything is possible. And I wanted to be able to allow people or give people permission to go after what they really want, because I do not like people suffering. I can't stand to see it. I can't stand to hear it. I can't stand to feel it. So for the rest of my life, I will go out of my way and fail forward in the pursuit of removing suffering from people's lives, whether that's in business, in their relationships, in their hearts, in their minds, etc., etc. So the first thing you have to do to own your life, strangely, is own your emotions. Take responsibility for how you feel. Take responsibility for your thoughts, because those are creating your feelings. And take responsibility for everything that has happened in your life. Now, I'm not saying make yourself a victim, but I'm saying if you take responsibility for it, you have the power to fix it. As long as you're playing Blame FM and you're blaming Will or the economy or Brexit or the president or your mother, sister, brother, uncle, you've now taken away, you've snapped away your personal power. And now you're a victim to your circumstance, your environment, or society. As long as you can make yourself responsible for everything, not blame you, but make yourself responsible, you take your personal power back. Now, with full personal power, you have choice and freedom to decide, who do I choose to be tomorrow? One of my hashtags or my sayings in my business and in my tribe is, what's your next move? No one cares what you did yesterday. And I say that playfully. Right? I choose my words very carefully, though. No one cares what you did yesterday. People only care what you do next. Maya Angelou said that people will remember what you say or what you do, so forget what you said and what you did. People will only remember how you make them feel. So your obligation to yourself and the people around you is, with your next move, how are you choosing to make people feel? Now, that can be through your words, through your business, through your social media, through the way you show up, but it's also through your energy and your attitude. And in my opinion, energy and attitude are the two most important things in the world, because everyone in the world wants to be inspired. There's a reason why Hollywood is a billion-dollar industry, because we seek inspiration every day. Please show me what's possible. And that's all I want to do, is I want to, through my own ventures and my own adventures and my own failures, I want to show people that you are possible. The real you, the full potential best self version of you is possible. But it will not even start to happen until you can say, okay, today's the day. I take full responsibility for everything.
So taking that responsibility, like you said, it's not about being a victim. It's not about being at fault, but it's being able to own your response in which you decide.
If you're fat, say I'm fat. If you're fat, say I'm fat. If you're broke, say I'm broke. Say it. I'm fucking broke. Sorry, my language. I got carried away. I'm broke. I'm broke. Fix it. Right? My clients that have worked with me one-to-one, they know I say these two words all the time. Fix it. Oh, you got relationship problems? I don't want to hear a love story. I don't want a love letter telling me about how bad your relationship is. Just fix it. And if you can't fix it, fix you.
Love it.
So it's simple, but Albert Einstein said, make everything as simple as possible. I heard that quote about 15 years ago, and that's been my mission, to make everything that I do, personal growth, self-enrichment, achieving your full potential, just make it as simple as possible. And people know what to do. It's just too complicated. There's too much noise on the outside. People just need to go on the inside, and they need to look at, right, actually, why is this non-negotiable to me? Or why do I need to take ownership in my life? And when you own what's in the inside and you own what's going on the inside, the outside will take care of itself. Wayne Dyer, I'll hand over to you now. Sorry, Will. The late Dr. Wayne Dyer used to have this beautiful quote that when the voice and the vision on the inside becomes more loud and profound than the noise on the outside, you have truly mastered your life. And if you're not taking responsibility for your life, how can you even have a voice and a vision? So it always starts with you. It starts with me. Will, it starts with you. And for everyone watching, everything that you want, it starts with you, no one else. It doesn't even start with this webinar. This webinar is a vehicle for you to tap into you, for you to tap into your responsibility, for you to tap into owning your own life, for you to tap in your full potential. But whether you reach that full potential or even a version of it has nothing to do with me or Will. It has everything to do with what you choose to do next.
So one of the things that we know comes up an awful lot for people when they want to move to that next level, they want to take that first step. They go, "Yep, I've owned it. I own where I am. I own my situation. I own where I'm at right now, and this is where I want to go next." There's often something that gets in the way that falls in the form of fear or limiting beliefs. It's something
absolutely.
That's very normal, and we often talk the number one thing that holds us back is fear, and fear. I mean, the limiting beliefs. Well, the fear and the limiting beliefs quite often can cause the procrastination. But what is for people that are going, yeah, well, I get it, and they're butting all over themselves and saying but this and but that because fear and limiting beliefs are coming in their way. What's your methodology? What's your process for people that are currently experiencing fear or limiting beliefs, enabling them to move forward?
So once again, it's very simple, and two, it's very easy to act on. Right? If you covered the first part, by the way, it's so weird because my book's not out yet, but you've literally just covered the first 2 chapters of my book. So, or 2 chapters of my book. So I've obviously written something that's worth talking about. So it's very simple and it's very easy to implement. And it's basically being willing. Now stick with me, right? I didn't say what I had to share was rocket science. Just stick with me for a second or a few seconds or a few minutes, and don't judge the situation. Number one, it's being willing to go out there and fail. Now stick with me, okay? Here's why. Because Will's right. The number one thing that stops us from becoming everything that we're capable of becoming is fear. Fear of being judged, fear of being ridiculed, fear of not being loved, fear of being successful and being ostracized or isolated, whatever. It's fear. Now, the only thing that you need to remember is that fear is not real. It's false evidence appearing real. So if you're willing to go out there and fail in relationships, the fear of being alone will disappear because you'll realize that you can keep getting into a new relationship all the time. It might not work, but nothing in life is guaranteed. So number two, if you have a fear of rejection, if you go out and make cold calls, you're going to realize that being rejected, it's not a nice feeling, but it ain't the end of the world. So everything that you fear, and I can go into this, but it takes at least 30 minutes to go into, everything that you fear, because it's false evidence appearing real, it's evidence from a time in your life that you created a reality around this experience, and to change the reality or the thinking around this experience, you have to go and change what this experience means. So if you're scared of speaking to someone, the only way to get rid of that fear is to speak to people. If you're scared of being rejected, the only way to get rid of that fear is to be rejected. If you're scared of being injured, the only way to get rid of that fear is to go out there and break some bones, baby, because you just have to realize that nothing in life is guaranteed. And if you can get rid of fear, I promise you, you just won't care. This is an honest story, and maybe one of the guys will come in from the chalet. There's about 10 guys upstairs. I started skiing yesterday, and I've never skied. I've never been on a ski slope. I've only been on one of these indoor things in the UK. So I came here yesterday and I started with a lesson. Then I went on the green runs, which is the easiest one. And today I was doing blue runs and I was carving down. And they were sitting at lunch because I had to leave and come back and do work. And they were sitting at lunch. When they got back, they told me on the mountain at lunch, they were saying, JP is phenomenal. How can he be that good after 2 days? We don't understand. And one of the guys came back just before this interview and he said, I know why it is. I know why you got so good so quickly. It's because you're not afraid to fail. And I was like, yep, that's why. Like every single time I fell on the slopes, I said, yes. I was like, yes, because I'm willing to be out here failing rather than being back in the chalet. I think I said that before. So it's being willing to go out there and fail. Number one, okay, I'm going to give you some actual practical steps to go away in action. Number one, write down every single thing that you're afraid of. If you're afraid of speaking, write it down. If you're afraid of attention or being the center of attention or speaking in public, write it down. If you're afraid of falling, write it down. If you're afraid of flying, heights, if you're afraid of spiders, write it down. Look, if you go out there and touch spiders and connect with spiders, the more you do it, the fear will disappear. Once again, I didn't say it was rocket science, but I do know this for sure without any doubt whatsoever, maximum certainty, that what is stopping you and what is stopping you from bridging the gap between where you are now and where inside you know you can be, regardless of time, it's fear. So you have to, number one, identify that fear. Number two, go find ways to fail in the direction of that fear. Not to fail in that fear because it's too big. You won't do it. The brain will say, no, it's too uncomfortable. But if you have a fear of speaking in public, how you can fail in the direction of that fear is to go speak to 5 people. get your family together and speak to them. Ask them to give you feedback. Ask them to give you radical, honest feedback, right? Because the worse the feedback, the more you're going to realize, hey, I'm still alive. I can go do this again. If your fear is of being injured, I don't know, go do a boxing class or something and you'll come up with a black eye. Some people say, oh, I can't do boxing. And, you know, what's it like to get hit? Well, I'll tell you what, the first time you ever do boxing, you're scared shitless because you're thinking the worst, I'm going to get concussed, everything. But when you're like me and you've done boxing for 10 years, for a decade, you know that the worst thing that can happen to you is you get knocked unconscious in the ring. And you getting knocked unconscious, because I know I've had 8 counts in my life, right? 1, 2, 3, counting in the ring. It's just your brain's way of saying, look, this is too uncomfortable. So I'm going to put you to sleep for a second so that the saber-toothed tiger goes away or this threat goes away. And then I'm going to wake you up and you're going to be fine. And physically, the worst thing that can happen to you is a black eye or something. If you wear pads or gloves, you know, a bloody nose. But I don't have fear about boxing at all. But here's the truth. Because I got bullied for 12 years in school, Will, the first time I ever did boxing, right? Not a lot of people know this. I was in London in a boxing gym. I was so damn scared of boxing. And as a result of that, for 15 years, I never once stood up to myself, for myself. I never once for 15 years stood up for myself. Going through my late teenage years to my 20s, I just didn't. So when I got in the boxing ring, I was like this, Will. So afraid, so afraid. But if I wasn't standing up for myself in the boxing ring, do you think it's a coincidence that I wasn't standing up for myself in life? It's not a coincidence, because how we do one thing is how we do most things. And the first time I ever got hit in the boxing ring, it was a lunch break. I got together with some mates. I was working in a gym. And I got hit across the head with a left hook. Bam! It was so damn hard. Even though I had a head guard, I regressed. I went back all the way to being a child and being beat up in school. And I didn't know what to do. I freaked out. And I said to the guys, I didn't know what to do, right? Fight, flight, or freeze. And I just wanted to flight. I wanted to run. I looked at the clock. I said to the guys, I'm so sorry. I got the time wrong. I need to be back at work. I'm so sorry, guys. And I went into the changing room in the gym, 25 years old. And I took off my head guard. I sat in the cubicle. I put my hands in my head. And I just started crying my eyes out. And I cried and I cried and I cried because there was so much stuff coming out of me. But then a week later, I realized, I got hit in the head. Can't really get much worse than that, can it? And now hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours of boxing, over 100 actual sparring sessions, 200 sparring sessions. I have zero fear. If you want to come me with a punch with a glove, I literally will duck weave. And if I get hit straight in the face, I'm going to say, Will, great shot, my man. Great shot. So I've gone a little bit off on a tangent, but I trust that this has been valuable. Go out there and fail. Just fail in the direction of your greatest fears. And I promise you, you will free yourself up to do whatever it is that you want to do.
So something I just want to touch on very quickly, because you just had a fight recently, right?
10
10 days ago, which was phenomenal. Yeah. Absolutely phenomenal. And you won?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I needed the win. I lost my last fight. So I'm fighting again on the 25th of April in London and the 1st of June in London.
Oh, wow. I didn't know you had the other fights lined up as well. I didn't realize that. So
yeah, I'm going all in. Once again, I want to show people what's possible. I'm 37. I've got a beard dipped in moonlight. I'm going gray in all areas. I've got gray on my chest. And I just thought, it's very inspiring being a boxer when you're an average boxer's age. But I know people are watching me all the time, from my mother to my brothers, to people on social media, to my clients, to you.
Yeah.
And I just, for that reason, I've made it my obligation in whatever I do, to do my best to inspire as many people as possible. So I thought, hey, let me do a few fights, see how good I can be. And let's see the outcome. Hopefully I leave an imprint in some people's lives. So yeah, 3 fights in 2 months.
Love it. So so that extremely useful. I am going to ask the question because, like you said, there's certain things that people can be fearful of, like spiders. You mentioned spiders, and then you just go, right, let's start the process. You taking smaller steps, whatever that might be, getting a spider in a jug and looking at it, and then gradually you get to the point, and then you've dealt with it, right? That's going sort of all in.
Absolutely.
However, there's other fears that people might have that it's not quite as easy to just go and do. So, for example, I'm trying to think of something from a contextual point of view that might be useful. So let's say one of your fears is letting people down, for example.
Yeah.
Or one of your fears is failing at business, let's just say. To just go into the business and fail on purpose, or go and intentionally let someone down, isn't quite as easy as going and picking up a spider or getting in a boxing ring. So how do you
fantastic question, by the way, really good questions. And it's being open to the fact that nothing, this sounds once again very simplistic, but being open to the fact that nothing is guaranteed in life.
Yeah.
If you're thinking that you're going to go in a relationship and she or he is the love of your life, even if so, to have any kind of expectation that this is going to last forever, I say this with love, please, in humility, you're a fool, because nothing in life is guaranteed. Everything is cyclical. Everything is seasonal. Everything in business is seasonal. Everything in relationships are seasonal. Hey, everyone in a relationship, stick up your hand, even though I can't see you, if you have winters and summers and springs and autumns in your relationship, or if you have your own business, when you had, when was the last summer you had? So nothing in life is guaranteed, and if we try to guarantee things in life and we want everything to go hunky-dory, it's like getting into life and saying, you know what, I'm going to have 10 summers, 1 winter, few springs, maybe a couple of autumns. You can't do that. It doesn't make sense. And sometimes the winters are long, sometimes the summers are short, and sometimes vice versa. So that's the first thing. Understand that nothing is guaranteed. Now, when it comes to fears about anything, the fear that you have, and this is very important. This is probably the most important thing I'm going to say in this whole webinar. So I'm going to slow it down for a second. Any fear that we have is a belief. And if you feel massively afraid about something, that belief is so strong, it's a conviction, right? Like some of you have convictions about your fears of spiders. Let's use that again. Or you have convictions of your fear of heights. And it's because you have a belief that has so much certainty in this area that you believe that this is the only truth. This is the only way. There is no other way. I am afraid of ... or there's too much fear to move forward in the area of ... Now, every single belief that we have has come to us in our living life. No child comes into this world and says, I hate blacks, or I don't like broccoli, or we don't have any beliefs, right? I tried just 2 completely random examples. We have no beliefs. Every belief that we have is created in our own living existence. So we have to first understand that everything that I believe, I have created. So how do we create a belief? Through evidence. So if I believe that Will Polston is a very nice guy, I have to have some sort of evidence to prove this to be correct. Now, if I'm also afraid of you, Will, I have to have some evidence to prove this to be correct. Otherwise, why would I be afraid of you? It doesn't make any sense. No child will walk up to you and be afraid of you. But if you went like this to the child and you've never met the child, the very first piece of evidence is Will's not a nice man.
Yeah.
So now the child has a belief that will is not nice. So every single belief that we have, including fear, comes down to one thing and one thing alone: evidence. Now, I want you to picture a courtroom. And a courtroom has a judge in the middle, and the judge is deciding what is the truth, or what is going to be the belief that we all believe. And it's based on one thing and one thing alone. What is it?
The judge in the courtroom, you mean?
The judge makes the decision based on one thing. What?
Yeah, the truth.
Evidence. So your mind every single day of your life is the judge. And it's telling the truth every day. Every day. This is the truth. This is the truth. This is the truth. Based on what?
Evidence.
One more time.
Evidence.
Evidence. So if we want to change our truth, now let's go bigger than fear, right? We use it for fear. But if you want to change any truth, any belief of I'm not afraid of something, or I am afraid of something, to I'm not afraid of something, I can't be successful, to I can be successful, I'm never going to be fit and healthy, or I can be lean and super fit. The thing we have to do always is to look at evidence. So whether I have 3 tiers in my business, I have one-to-one, I do high-level coaching, I do one-to-few, where I work with leadership teams in the corporate world, and then I have one-to-many, right? My personal development business like you have, seminars, events, online stuff. But everywhere I go, I always share this with people, that for you to change your belief about anything, you have to build an evidence list. And I learned it from one of my coaches about 10 years ago, Michelle Zelli, who you know, she spoke on your stage. And John DeMartini speaks about evidence. And Wayne Dyer and Tony Robbins, they all talk about something similar, that you have to go look at the evidence. So I do this all the time. In my own life, every single time I need to level up, any single time I need to go from uncertain to certain, from I don't know to I know, or to I am, to really owning that belief, the first thing I do, and actually the only thing I do, is I go to work and I look at the evidence. So if we use the example of I don't want to fail, I'm going to fail in business. What would the evidence for you to go into action in business anyway? What would be the evidence that someone should be looking for?
The evidence that they're going to fail, in your opinion, the evidence that they've had from the past.
No, if someone wants to go into business, but they're scared of failing, what's the outcome that they want? If fear wasn't present, they would go into business. Yeah. But what's stopping them? Fear of failing.
Yeah.
So what do you think should be the evidence they should be looking for?
In order to succeed?
In order for them to be able to go through their fear?
Looking for justification. So looking at their skill set, looking at their resources, looking at market opportunity, all of those things.
So number one is, how much evidence do you have that you have what it takes to be successful, or to even make it in business? Now, if you can write down 50 things, do you think you'll have a strong belief that you can make it?
Yeah.
What happens if anyone writing an evidence list for I can make it, or here's the evidence that I can make it in business or be successful? What happens if they can find 200 evidences? You don't have a choice. Your subconscious mind, your programming, your software, like on my laptop, will just start to believe that how can I not be successful? Because there's too much evidence there. Remember the judge. The judge, if there's enough evidence, what does the judge say? Without reasonable doubt. Without reasonable doubt. This is the truth. So when I say take responsibility for where you are, that gives you the freedom to change something. Then you have to do the work, like I always say. Part of that work is working on your psychology, so you can then go change your habitual life and how you show up every day in your environment and the people, and invest more in yourself. But it's all psychology first. And for you to first take action in anything that you're not already there, you have to first believe you can be there. Otherwise, you'll never be there, because your outer world is a direct reflection of your inner world. So you have to go to work and start building evidence. Now, you can do that through activity. You can do that through feedback. You can do that through looking at the timeline of your life and looking at every experience you've ever had. In this particular example that we're talking about, I'm scared of failing in business, therefore I'm going to fail. I don't have what it takes. Go out there and research how many people have failed in business and then still gone back into business and been successful. How good of an evidence list would that be? Or here's another evidence list. Go do the research and search all the people that never thought they'd make it. And because they tried, they made it in, they ended up making it happen. Imagine you can find 100 examples, global examples of people thought that they couldn't do it, but because they were willing to take action, they were so grateful because they end up being a mega success. You're not going to sit there in your bedroom, you know, your white walls and be wishing about business. If you have that much evidence, you're going to run out of your door and you're going to chase your dreams, because your dreams too, with that new evidence, will become a conviction to you. And you'll believe, based on the newfound evidence of you going to work on your own life, that without reasonable doubt, I too can do what they're doing. That's the power of evidence. It's tricking your brain.
So true.
And that's essentially, so one more thing, Will. That's another reason why I do what I do. I just want to give people evidence. I got diagnosed with a knee disease when I was 13. I'm super tall, but all my height is in my legs. So when I sit next to people, my legs are up in the air. When I sit on the plane, I have to go premium economy, business. I can't fit in the chair. And when I sit at a table, because all my height's in my legs, when I sit at a table, I'll probably be shorter than you will if I sit at, because I have no height in my body. Yeah. So like my legs are crazy, crazy long. So I got told, JP, you can't do this. I got told, your son will never be able to run. Your son can't play any impact sports. Your son will have to choose other sports where he doesn't have to run and put impact on his knees. I never ran for 15 years. How many times have people told you something that was an opinion, but you made it the truth? I made that my truth. So when I was 28, 29 years old and I was already coaching and influencing people, I realized that I need to influence myself better. And I started to run 100 meters, 200 meters, 300 meters. And now I run, you know me, right? I run crazy. I ran a marathon in January just because I was bored. I just got up, put the headphones on. I ran 42 kilometers, 26 miles. It was about 27 because I always do the bit extra in everything I do. And then on the 17th of January, I was in rugby and I was speaking in Birmingham. And I was like, maybe I can run to Birmingham. So I put a 25-pound, 12-kilogram backpack on my back and I ran 35 miles to Birmingham, 55 kilometers, something like that. Now, I'm not saying that to show off. Trust me, I'm proud of myself. I love myself. I'm my best friend. I don't need anyone to say, yay, JP. I'm saying it every day of my life, at least for the last 10 years, not before that. But why I'm doing it and why I do the documentaries and the Facebook videos and Instagram Live and Instagram stories is because I want to show you evidence. That's it. I just want to show you evidence. I'm a stupid kid from South Africa. I barely passed high school. This is my 4th book. This is evidence that you too can. Whatever it is that you want to do, you too can. I've got a global audience of almost 300,000 people around the world, from Africa to Asia to Australia. You too can. I'm here in France skiing on a fully paid trip. We flew here on a private jet. You too can. Right? This is all evidence. And for the rest of my life, I will shout evidence at you. And if you don't like that, that's up to you. Right? I don't need you to love me, but I need you to love you. And for that reason, I will keep shouting at you and I'll keep pushing your buttons and keep reminding you that your future is in your hands. And if it is to be true, then it is 100% up to you.
Very true indeed. I love it. So one of the things that I want to allude to, because I think this makes up a massive part of, well, I believe it makes up a massive part of why you are able to be as successful as you are in so many different areas. One of it is that you've got an incredible mindset, that you've self-taught, you've surrounded yourself with great coaches, you've learned from the best, you've studied them, you've absorbed it, you've applied it, is what's most important. But one of the things I wanted to touch on, as you've mentioned, you're doing 3 fights within the space of a month or a couple of months. You just go and run marathons and sort of ultra marathons for the fun of it. So energy, the importance of energy. And because so many people will say, I'd love to do that, but I don't have the energy. I don't feel like it. I don't feel like I've got the energy to go and do it. So what I wanted to know is, what's your I suppose steps, actions, the things that you take to have the abundance of energy that you do as a man that can go and do the things that you do?
Well, it's so weird, man. You've just mentioned another chapter in my book, Get Moving. So, okay, I'll try and say this in a clear and concise way. How much time do we have? Okay, not much. The greatest leaders in the world, we're all looking to be better leaders. And essentially, for you to have the greatest life, you need to be the greatest leader of yourself and the people around you, right? So you can have influence. So leadership is about influence. On a foundation level, leaders influence their market, their environment, their business, whatever, right? Their environment. Let's just call it that. Above that, if they want to have maximum influence on their environment, they need to be able to influence the people around them. You need to be able to influence your people. No one gets to the top on their own. No one wins on their own. And then the greatest leaders in the world have influence in the most important area, which is of themselves. Now, there's 4 different areas of influence, right? My own methodology. One is from the top, it's spiritual, right? That's the highest level of influence. If you look at another, I love triangles and prisms, right? It's the strongest shape in the world, right? Look at all the pyramids. So at the top of the triangle is spiritual influence. One down, if you can get to that level, it's psychological influence of others and of oneself. Just below that, it's emotional influence. And on the foundation level, where you build any house from the top, from the bottom up, from a pyramid from the bottom up, it's physical influence. Why? Because it's the easiest way to influence yourself. Now, don't take my word for it. Look at Tony Robbins, #1 high performance coach in the world, life strategist, life coach, success coach, however you want to label Tony Robbins. He's been doing what he's doing for 4 decades and is worth over 400 million. Yet every single year, almost every week, he's on stages around the world telling people to move their asses. Once again, success leaves clues. Do you think he has a lack of content? I don't think so. Tony says, move every single day. And the reason why, Tony shares good content. I'm going back to Tony Robbins for like the 15th time in April in London. I don't know if anyone else is going, but I will be there because I love that environment. I thrive in that environment. And a lot of the reasons why 13,000 people will thrive in that environment is not just because of the education and motivation and inspiration, it's because of the activity. He gets people moving, he gets them breathing, he gets them moving their physiology, he gets them jumping, lymphosizing, hugging each other, connecting with each other. So that's why one of the chapters in my book is get moving every single day of your life. One of the gentlemen upstairs asked me, because one of my non-negotiable habits is I have very high standards. Another chapter in my book, Set the Standard, is to be non-negotiable about certain things. And I'm non-negotiable about my wake-up time. I travel for a living. Doesn't matter what country I'm in, I wake up at 5 o'clock. Sometimes it's 4:30, 5:30, but 5 o'clock is my wake-up time. So the guys have been watching me here, and they're just like, man, you're a machine. You just have 4 hours sleep, 4.5, 5 hours sleep, and you're up. Bam. And I do that because I'm setting my tone for the day. Because either I'm in control of my day or my day's in control of me. And I have my own business. I have 2 businesses, events and personal development and coaching. So I can't be a victim of what's going on around me. I have to take control of everything, emotionally, spiritually, psychologically. And for me to do that, I have to start at the foundation. So one of the gentlemen asked me, how often do you work out? And I said, every single day. I haven't missed a day in 5 years. Now, sometimes it's 20 push-ups. Sometimes I've done 10 jumping jacks, Will, once. I was rushing out of the hotel. I was going to speak. I was running a Tony Robbins event. And I said, oh, it didn't work out. I dropped my bags. I went 1, 2, 3, 4. Because I need it to be non-negotiable for me. Because here's what I believe. In my heart and to my core, that influence is everything. And everywhere you go, every person you speak to, you're influencing them. You're either influencing them in a good way, you're either influencing them in no way, or you're influencing them in a bad way. Therefore, I take responsibility for that. I want to influence you in the best way, right? So I want to influence everyone listening to this in the best way. So I have to show up as my best self. And you cannot show up as your best self when you're half asleep, lethargic, dusty mind, or clouded thoughts. So you have to do the physical. Now, it doesn't matter what you do. You just have to move your body. Because when you move your body, you connect your mind and your body. You also put blood all around your muscles. You put energy and vitality into your soul, into your being. And therefore, you can go out and conquer your fears. Be willing to fail. Go out there and chase your dreams. Be willing to go out and live without regrets. But I'm telling you now, once again, in my humble opinion, if you're unfit or you have a fat mentality, there's no way you can ever say to me or convince me that you are your best self. I'll never believe it, because I've never met anyone that said, oof, I've been sitting on the sofa all day. I feel pumped. I feel pumped up. But on the flip side of that, I've never in my whole existence have I ever heard someone say, after any kind of physical activity, whether skiing or sex, whatever it is, have I heard someone, after moving what God or the universe has given them, said, man, I feel lonely. I feel depressed. I feel shame. I feel disconnected. I feel fearful. It'll never happen. I'm sure that for the rest of my life, I'll never see a real example of this. Because when you are in movement, you're in yourself. You're serving you. You're full. And when you're feeling full, you're feeling love. You're feeling abundant. You're feeling grateful. And when you're feeling loved, grateful, abundant, scientifically proven, fear cannot be in the same place. So moving your body can literally help you get rid of fear.
Love it.
Right? If anyone is scared of going into a meeting, I want to try something. I want to share something that I want you to try. If you're scared of going into a meeting and you're worried or concerned, or you're going on a date, right? Whether you're going into a conference hall or room or an office, or you're in a restaurant, do this. Go to the toilet and ideally find a disabled toilet. Put a timer on your watch and set the timer for 5 minutes, a countdown timer. Make sure the doors are locked and set the countdown timer for 5 minutes and just go absolutely bloody mental. Boom, boom, boom. Yes, yes. Just do whatever. And then come out and tell me you're afraid. You won't be. How does Tony Robbins get thousands and thousands of people to walk across hot, burning coals? He gets them to move their body. That's it. Yes, yes, yes. Make the move, jump in the air. And then people go, in the beginning of the day, they're saying, I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. And all he does is get you moving all the time. Get you moving all the time. And then you just go and you walk across the coals. So fitness is not about fitness. Fitness is about who you become in the process. So even to my coaching clients and people that don't work with me, they're like, hang on, if this is what you're teaching, aren't you really a fitness coach? I'm like, no. Fitness is a vehicle to get you to your full potential. Fitness is not your full potential. Unless you're a fitness guru or fit pro, a fitness professional, right? That's maybe will be your full potential. But fitness is 100% guaranteed a vehicle to get you to your greatest self. And if you're not willing to have fitness or health or energy and vitality as a non-negotiable part of your habitual life, then I'm saying to you, as your friend, as your coach, as your mentor, role model, whatever, however you think of me, I'm telling you now that you're compromising on your life. You're compromising on your family, on your family's life. Why would you ever choose that? It's not always easy to get out there and put on your shoes and go for a run, or put on your shoes, metaphorically speaking, but it's damn well worth it, because you don't like the tag of my, I'll finish now. Sorry, Will.
It's cool.
The tag of the bottom of my book says, get after what you really want. Get out of your own way. Go after what you really want, and live your life with no regrets. That's what life's about. Living with no regrets.
I think one of the key takeaways, the key takeaways, there's so many takeaways, and thank you so much again for your time, especially when you're away right now. But from that is that I know I've been guilty of this in the past. I've created an association of what exercise is. So I play ice hockey still at a competitive level, semi-professional level.
And still want to come watch you. I want to come watch you.
Yeah, you should. You should next time we're playing down in Guildford. That's near you, right? So I create an association. So for me, training, I need to go and exercise. It's an hour, or I need to go for a run. It's a 6 mile run. And then sometimes I remember this first happened to me probably a couple of years ago. I was like, right, I really need to exercise. I need to go for a run. I don't have time to do 6 hours. And I was like, Will, you can run I can't remember what I got down to. Was it a 6 minute mile or a 5 minute mile? I can't remember. Whatever I got down, mate, I think it was 6 minute mile. I don't think it was. Yeah,
I do kilometers.
Yeah. So, and I was like, right, well, if you just go all out for 6 minutes and run a mile in 6 minutes, you're done. Like that can be your exercise for the day. It doesn't need to be a 6 mile, 45-minute run every time you want to do it. And the fact that you said you exercise every single day, and some days you go out and you run 50 miles and other days you do 10 jumping jacks, ultimately you're making that progress every single day, no matter what. And I think that's so evident in terms of taking action, not just in fitness, but in anything you want to create a compound effect and benefit from significant change in.
Here's the thing. I told you before, right? I've been here. Everyone's here on their business, networking, skiing trip. But I'm up at 5 a.m. So I don't see a single soul in the whole house until about 8 o'clock. But then they say to me like, wow, man, you're really impressive. Like, so what am I doing? I'm having influence by having certain rituals. Now, let's turn that around. If I'm influencing people by my rituals, do you think I'm being influenced by my own high standard rituals?
Of course.
So you say, of course. Now let's pretend, right? Because it's so far from the truth.
Really?
That I have No. Let's pretend what I'm about to say is so far from the truth. That's what I'm saying. Let's pretend. Let's pretend that I don't have high performance rituals. That I get up late, that I drink coffee before water, that I complain or stress about my day, that I check emails in bed. If you said I influence myself by being a high performer through my habits, do you not think I'm influencing myself in the opposite way?
Well, yeah, if you're taking those actions.
In a negative way.
You're influencing in a negative way. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So for everyone listening, know this, that yes, I'm saying that if you do all these things, you're going to influence yourself in a positive way, but you can't decide whether you want to be influenced or not. You're being influenced right now. You're being influenced in this call, in this conversation. You're being influenced by whatever is attached to your hand right now. Or what was attached to your hand? Right? Like I had a glass of red wine. I love having a glass of red wine. it influences me in a very good way. It's my celebration. I don't have it all the time, but a good quality glass of red wine is a great, it influences me in a really great way. You're being influenced by the last book you read. You're being influenced by the last TV show or last thing that you had on the TV. You're being influenced by the last thought you have. You're always being influenced. You just have to be willing to, once again, let's go back to the beginning of this conversation, be willing to take ownership of the fact that you are responsible for everything that you have been influenced by in your life. And I'm not saying it's your fault. There's exceptions to every rule in the world. So please don't judge me or judge what I'm saying, or don't be offended by what I'm saying. You might have been through something traumatic in your life, right? But I say this respectfully. I respect you for what you've been through, but I see you for what you're capable of becoming still. And for you to do that, I have to say that the only thing I care about is what you choose to do next. That's up to you. I said to someone that you and I both know, I said, you have an amazing story. But what you need to understand is that you can no longer live in your story. It's good to have a story, but it's not good to live in your story, because that gives you permission to keep showing up in the way that you don't really want to show up. So once again, self-influence. I know you didn't really answer. You didn't ask me a question. You were just sharing. But influencing ourselves is that's how you own your life. That's how you own your life. You influence yourself in a better way. So here's a practical exercise to do. I mentioned 4 areas of influence: physical, emotional, psychological, and spiritual. Rate yourself in a level from 1 to 10. 1 being poor, 10 being extraordinary. And then write a number and say, I'm a 6 out of 10 in physical influence. Now go to work, right? So the number is you taking the responsibility. It's you owning up for who you are and what you have and what you don't have. Number 2, you go to work and you say, where do I need to influence myself in this area of physical self? Then you go to emotional. How emotionally fit am I? Am I rocked by what people say? Do I get offended by what people tell me? You know, am I rocked by comments that come in online or by feedback? Can I handle feedback? If you can't handle feedback, you can't feed your life forward. If you can't handle feedback, you have very low emotional score. It's very bad, because every single time you get negative feedback, you're literally you're influencing yourself in a negative way. Because nothing I can say to you, I can say to you, Will, this is the worst webinar platform I've ever seen in my whole life. But you still have a choice in that moment to decide, what am I going to make this mean? Now, obviously, that's not true for everyone watching. Before we went live, I said to Will, this is amazing. I've never heard of this platform before. It's amazing. Seeing all the numbers come up and everything. But everything that is said to us, we then have to determine, what does this mean? And that's obviously going to determine how we influence ourselves. So, yeah, go to the 4 areas of influence, write down the score. That's you holding yourself responsible, saying, I have low spiritual influence, low psychological influence. Then go to work, ask yourself, where specifically do I need to get better in this area of my life? Now, some of you, it's only going to be spiritual. You're going to have physical, emotional, psychological, but you're spiritually unhappy. You're spiritually unfulfilled, or you don't know how to be grateful, or you don't know how to celebrate you. So you need to go to work in that area. It might be physical, it might be emotional, it might be psychological, but everyone has something in those 4 areas that they know can be a lot greater. Otherwise, they wouldn't be watching this, definitely. And you watching this, or you listening to this, you know what it is, and you know that you're responsible for it, and you know what to do, right? Where all of this comes into power and how it fuels your personal power, these webinars and Will's membership and my book and my membership, etc., is it allows you to keep reminding yourself of why it's so damn important to be better. That's it.
Love it. Well, thank you so much, JP. So very quickly, if you do have a question, we've probably got time for one question, maybe. I might be able to squeeze one question out of JP. But if you have got one question, be quick, write it in the Facebook group. But whilst someone's writing, if they're writing, JP, if people haven't connected with you before and they've just joined the webinar because they love joining these webinars every month, and they want to find out more about you and they want to connect with you and they want to see what you're getting up to, where can they do that?
So I'm all over social media. Just type my name in, Jean-Pierre De Villiers. You'll find me on Instagram. You'll find me on Facebook. I have Twitter and LinkedIn, but I don't really use them. We're going to be plugging into those platforms more. Like I said, I'm always looking to give you evidence. So I do Facebook posts. My team do Facebook posts every day. I do Facebook Lives. I'm also on Instagram. We do Instagram posts, Instagram Lives, and every single day, because I want to show you my life today so that you can see where I came from, look at my life today and realize too, I too can. I'm on Instagram stories every single day, anything from 4 to 40 Instagram stories in a day, just sharing my life with you. And I get direct messages. I'll always reply to your messages. And the one thing that I have available to the public, I do coaching 1-to-few for organizations. I do coaching 1-to-1 only by invitation. I work with 10, 12 people a year. For the public, for anyone who wants to have me as their coach, I have something called Life Fitness University. It's an online membership. It's weekly coaching sessions on Facebook Live. And because I'm always going to be about fitness, we do some live workouts as well. It's nothing fancy. It's $10 a month. It's a great community, just like yours, Will. It's a different community, but it's a great community. If anything, people should be part of multiple communities that are helping them shape themselves and reinvent themselves as they go through life and create their best selves. So that's it. Thank you for having me.
So quite one question that came in, absolutely no, thank you for joining us, was the book is called How to Own Your Life, and they've asked, is it going to be on Audible?
So it will be on Audible. It's not even available on Amazon yet. We're launching on, that's what I was looking for. I think it's Friday, the 25th of March. Now, no, Friday, the 29th of March is the official Amazon book launch. It's now about £15 on Amazon, but it will be, we're not promoting it. It's just there on Amazon. But on the Friday, the 29th of March, it will be £4 just for that day. £4, you can have this book. And my editor sent me this. It's the 4th book that he's done a final edit for. And when he sent me the email, he said, JP, I know I'm biased because obviously I do the edits of your books. But he said, this is by far the best book you've ever written. Can you send me a few copies? I want to send it to some friends and family. So if that's not a good testimonial, I don't know what is.
Love it.
So it's also endorsed by 2 great influencers and friends now in my life. Daniel Priestley, entrepreneur in the UK, Singapore, Australia, the US, Daniel Priestley, and by my own coach, absolute living legend, Miss Lisa Nichols herself, from Motivating the Masses, the movie The Secret. They've written the forewords for this book. So I'm very, very blessed. I'm honored. And I know I'm biased. It's my book, but I cannot wait to share it with you. So yeah, buy it on Friday, the 29th. Help it become an Amazon bestseller. Write an amazing review. Write me a direct message when you've done that. And trust me, my team, me, Felipe, Amanda, or Signa, will make sure that you're looked after. Thank you so much.
What we'll do is we'll make sure I'll get the team here to liaise with Amanda, and we'll make sure that we get a post put out in the Elite Network community group on the 29th so that we can...
Thank you. Love and gratitude. That means the world to me. Thank you very much.
Well, JP, once again, thank you. There was no other questions that come through, so thank you so much for your time. It's been phenomenal. Katrina said, brilliant webinar. I completely agree. Phenomenal content. Thank you so much. And look forward to catching up with you very soon.
Well, thank you very much. And to everyone listening here, thank you for checking in. Thank you to Will for hosting me. Let's give him a round of applause. But I always say this when I finish. Knowledge is only powerful if you implement it. I'm not the only person to say it. So please do us a favor, because we do this for a reason. We want to help you. Commit to one single thing that was either something you were reminded of or something that is new to you. Commit to that one single thing for the next 30 days. Otherwise, the return on your investment for the last hour and 10 minutes is not good. If you can't commit to one thing after listening to this, and you show up to another webinar, for you don't want to be in my world. You do not want to be in my world. If I know you invested for an hour in something of knowledge and you didn't do anything, and then you went to another course, program, or webinar, you don't want to be near me, because I will give you some radical truth. Right? Go do the work. That's what I'm saying, with love. Thanks again.
And thank you again, everyone that's joined us and joined us live, and anyone that's watching this on repeats or catch up. I hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you again, everyone, for joining us. Thank you, JP. Have a great evening. Until next time.
Peace and love. Thank you very much. Cheers, guys. Bye-bye.